Feel free to go ahead. I mean, I'm ready.
We're going. We're rolling. We got the ball rolling. All right, brother.
Yeah, perfect.
Journey. How did you start on this? Like I said, I think everything in life starts with the HQ of fitness, right? Of something physical. We are like physical beings. So how did you get into this journey?
Yeah, so I'll just formally just introduce myself. My name is Rich Yun. I'm a powerlifter. I don't want to say I'm retired, but I haven't competed in the meet for over 3 years now, and I'll get to that later on into the conversation. But when I did compete, I was competing in the USAPL Federation. I was competing in the 83 kg weight class. So that's roughly around 182.6 pounds. And during, I believe my best lifts for me, I believe was anywhere from like a 524, 523, 523 pound squat, 363 pound bench, and then 672-pound deadlift. I'm
Damn.
not really good at kilos, so I'm so sorry, but
That's all right.
those are the pounds that I remember. And that meet sort of occurred in November of 2018. That was my last meet. The reason why it was my last meet as a junior. So I wanted to end off in a good note. I was 23 and wanted to get a kind of a good elite total at that point. And then from there, I had more other life priorities and, having a job and all that stuff too, like a 9 to 5, kind of take onto that, over, that was more of that priority over lifting and, trying to get, be competitive. And so I think the whole powerlifting meet sort of kind of took a haul a bit. But I am, kind of looking forward to possibly going back into the platform again sometime next year. Um, I usually hover around somewhere around like 90 kg, so around like 193, 194 pounds, kind of in the off season. So with the new weight class change, I think it's pretty cool because with USAPL starting next year, the weight classes are different now. And I think this will be kind of interesting because typically this is the weight that I'm usually in around. So 90 kg would be an interesting meet that I would like to compete in next year. And yeah, and so far with training too, while I am a powerlifter, I'm also, you know, I have a pretty high social media presence over social media. People can find me on Instagram, the Korean Hulk. I'm assuming that's how you found me, Alex, as well. Um, and a lot of that, right now I'm more training into the powerlifting, power building lifestyle, mainly just to maintain my strength, but also for the time being, I've been sort of lifting to have fun and have a really fun style of lifting. And I've had a good follower, like a lot of supporters out there that really look up to me and see me as an inspiration, and I do it really does make me feel good about myself that I'm doing something to at least help them, inspire them to get stronger and help them to get into powerlifting in general. So I started powerlifting since I was actually in college. I've been in college actually. It was back in March of 2015. I would say it was my first like amateur powerlifting meet, and that's where sort of my journey happened. So I probably have at least almost or at most 8 years of powerlifting experience, which is crazy to say now, right? But and so that passion sort of came from there when I just kind of I was in the beginning, I was kind of an obese kid. I was kind of a little chubby, and I was told at a young age, that like my cholesterol levels was high, I was overweight, and to tell me if I don't get into the gym and start exercising and lifting, I'm gonna have to start taking medicine and pills to, at an early age, like 13. So I started lifting when I was pretty much around 13, 14 years old. When I got to college is when I found powerlifting. I found a group of friends that were also lifting, wanted to get strong, and then we found this sport called powerlifting. I didn't know anything about powerlifting until the point when the term was brought up, and then I started to look up, a lot of other people out there, and then so it's pretty nice. It's just the fact that kind of started as a smaller community for me, and now it's something big for me now because I do powerlifting coaching on the side as well, which I'm also grateful of, and just watching others progress under me, which is pretty cool too. So yeah, I mean, so I've been doing it for a long time now. It's just, I guess you can say is that in the beginning, right? It's a little bit, it's always fun, right? To get strong, and it always feels like when you're young, right? Your body's all fresh, so you don't really feel like you're broken down every day. So now it's just like, now I'm a little bit older now. I graduated like a few years back, and now I'm living through the 9 to 5 job. It's like you're sitting all day, and you're so it's just like the recovery is not as great as it was when you first started. And I would also just throw in the fact that being motivated is harder too. It's just like, it's just, for me, I always tell myself, I'm not going to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in the world, in my weight class, at this point, you just have to set your expectations that, this is not something like you can just like live off of and do for the rest of your life, So for me, it's just about just having fun with it and just sort of maintaining my lift. At the end of the day, you're focused on yourself, right? So just bettering yourself as a person and being strong as a person. So I'm just nowadays I'm just kind of taking things a little bit slowly now. Not trying to push myself to the max. And try to break down my body like I used to do when I first started training, where there was no sort of programming out there involved. I didn't know anything about coaching or programming at the time when I first started. It was at that point, it was just about lifting as much heavyweight as possible and just keep PRing every single time. My diet was really bad too. I was just eating like a whole box of pizza every day and like Chinese food, everything a college kid would eat, right? But if I could take the knowledge I learned now and applied it to then when I first started, I think that would have been great for me, because nowadays you see younger kids in this generation that are lifting godly numbers that they shouldn't really be lifting at that weight or at that age. And so the sport in itself, like powerlifting, is really like growing, and people are doing it at such a young age where it's just like out of nowhere, this kid is just strong. It's just like randomly breaking state records or national records or whatever, right? So we see this nowadays, just like, I envy that. I wish that I knew how to better myself and how to properly take care of my body when I first started powerlifting, which was at the age of like 18. But it's nice, because it's also kind of gives me the motivation to just now apply what I've learned now and then just continue to get better. So yeah, those are some of the thoughts I just always have in mind when I'm thinking about powerlifting. And also just kind of watching other people compete, and stuff like that. Yeah, it kind of gives me that energy, like the itch of wanting to come back to the platform. But yeah, I think sooner or later I'm gonna step out. Yeah, I think it's time. People have been telling me that I should, when are you gonna compete again? All this stuff. I'm just like, I'll do it soon, next year. And then when I said next year, that was like last year. So it's just like now I keep pushing it. But I think I'm going to find that motivation just to at least do one meet like next year, just to see how I do. And sometimes it's nice because if you have a meet in hand, the fact that you have accountability and like a responsibility to do something, like to actually get your work done, it helps, right? It's because you have something to work for towards that, right? You have some sort of motivation, exactly. But if I don't, right, it's almost like I'm just consistently just lifting and lifting, almost like it's just a daily habit, and it's just like I don't know what to expect, right? It's just like, should I PR? Like, there's no reason to PR or no reason to go heavy, so it's just like I haven't been pushing myself, which is, I always get tired and all that stuff. But I think that all needs to change eventually when I start, competing again. But yeah, because I do miss that drive. I do miss that competitiveness. But yeah, I think those are some of the thoughts I've just been thinking about. But overall, that is my background
Love
as
it,
well.
man.
So Alex, yeah.
Love it, man. Like the game has definitely been changed in the whole of the strength sport scene. Like I think
Yeah.
social media has honestly helped that, because everyone's connected now, right? And you can see how other people are training, and you can kind of pass on knowledge.
It's interesting. Yeah. I would kind of pause you on there, because I would say in the beginning when I first started powerlifting, the community was a lot more smaller. And it was so much smaller to the point where just like there was really no one else that was really posting videos at the time, because Instagram at the time only had a limit of anywhere like 15 to 30 seconds or something. And then once they did a minute, it was like there's more things but it was a really small community. And I think at the time there was really no international. I think a lot of the people that I followed and a lot of people that I've created like a relationship with was people around in the California side. And I think because in the West Coast, there's powerlifting was huge back then over there. It's bigger there than it was where I live, which was in the Northeast side, which is in Pennsylvania, like New York area. So it wasn't really that big. The amount of level of support was crazy. Like, what I'm saying, like a lot of people are saying, oh, like you did great, you're doing amazing, like keep doing that stuff. But I feel like nowadays in this generation, it's so different now, because everyone thinks that they know it all about powerlifting.
Oh yeah, man.
And I will call out and be like, these are the elitists. Like they think they know their stuff after just doing for the first year of powerlifting, right? They just do like first year powerlifting and they're just strong and they have so much potential. And then all of a sudden, it's like they know it all, right? And so they're the elitists, right? They think they have that loyalty of powerlifting where they think that powerlifting is their life, right? It's not their life, You should never make that as part of your life. I mean, if it's something that's you're growing a business out of, then yes, of course. But I just think that sometimes there is a toxicity.
Toxicity.
Toxicity involved, a level of that when it comes to that, when you're posting videos through powerlifting, and someone with a higher social media presence like me and posting videos for fun can often sort of provoke some people out there, some of those elitists out there, and often make them become like trolls and haters, you know what I'm saying? So I think yes, there is still a level of support. There's a lot of supporters out there too, of course, there's still a lot of that. But I also think there's also a lot of haters, a lot of people that think they know it all in the sport, and often provide a lot of negative like vibes when it comes to posting a lot of stuff in the comments, and just like, bro, like, why do you have to say this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that there's just two sides to it. And I'm sure, Alex, you can agree as well that
100%, man.
It's while the powerlifting community is supposed to be and should be supportive, there are people out there as well in social media that can be toxic to the point where they make powerlifting almost like crap, just because they think they know it all. So there's a balance, right? It's just like, I don't think necessarily it's a full like supportive community, but overall, again, it's with social media, everyone has everything to like the right to say whatever they want. And some of them happen to be trolls and they just want to get some sort of reaction out of it,
I think
but yeah, go ahead.
I think the main issue is like powerlifting is now, don't take this out of context, it's easily imitated, in the sense of if you just weight train, right, and you just go into the gym and you do SBD, you can't call yourself a powerlifter. It's a completely different sport. Like, you're not doing a sport, right? You're just training, right? You're working out, right? Which is fantastic. It's harder to go into the gym and attempt a clean and jerk and a snatch and call yourself a weightlifter, right? Because most of the time it's really, really skillful and you can't you can't do it. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to drop the
Yeah.
bar on your head. And they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. But if I lie down with an
Yeah.
empty barbell, put it on my chest and push it off and go, I'm going to do chest day, right? Or push day or whatever the fuck they want to call it. The problem is a lot of people then call themselves powerlifters, and you're just like, oh my God, there's a lot more that goes into it, man.
Yeah, it's definitely you wouldn't call yourself a powerlifter unless you actually competed in powerlifting, nor would you call yourself a bodybuilder if you competed in bodybuilding shows, right? You have to at least know that, like, you actually have to compete in the sport to at least tell yourself that you're a powerlifter or a bodybuilder. But yeah, I totally agree with you there as well. I think when I first started doing SBD work, I didn't call myself a powerlifter until I competed in my first like meet, and I'm like, this is what it feels like to be a powerlifter, because it's different when you're actually doing the SBD work. You're just basically a strength training, like a weight training, like, you know, you just call yourself like you're doing movements of powerlifting, but you're not a power lifter, right? There is a different term for that, but and it's also different because it's like you as a powerlifter, you need to understand is like it's different versus training in the gym versus competing on stage or on the platform, right? It's different,
Totally.
you know. It's so, but yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's just like for anyone that tells themselves that they're a powerlifter but they haven't competed in a meet, it's like obviously it's completely, you know, it's like they're probably saying that in hopes that they're probably going to compete in the future, in the near future. Then I get it, but yeah, I mean, there's no point of them calling themselves a powerlifter if they haven't competed. I get it, you know, I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, and you can, you know, strive towards something and go compete in a little amateur event, which would be fantastic, you know. But you know, I was having a conversation with our bodybuilder the other week, and it was like, if you sign up and register, you can then call yourself an amateur bodybuilder, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense because you've not done anything. You know, you sat on your couch and clicked a couple of buttons on your phone, paid $50, and now you've got this title. It's like, no, man, like.
I mean, I see some people on their Instagram bios, they'll be like a wannabe powerlifter or wannabe bodybuilder or something like that, which I totally respect. You know, it's just like, you're striving to you know, compete one day. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get that. You know, you're just you know, so, but yeah, it's totally different vibes when it comes to like actually being on the platform or being on stage. You know, it's like I get that. You know, so
it's hard, right? Because everything these days is evolved around quick fixes, right? And instant gratification. And anything with the barbell, right? I'm going to bring in strongman. So anything strength spots is just the one word comes to my mind: patience. You know, like it takes so fucking long to develop either the skill, never mind the actual strength aspect of it, the skill of moving the bar, moving the object. And it's hard to be able to convey that.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that when it comes to just like powerlifting in general too, it's just it's also different because I also feel like it's like people who actually have only done powerlifting for a year, and then they also have actually competed in a powerlifting meet, and they realize how strong they were, and you know, potentially, you know, like they could be like the top 3 in the country or whatever. They it's like, that's what I mean when I say like an elitist, is that they feel like they know it all to the point where they just they don't want to hear anyone else's like feedback or whatever. It's just like, and then they just start trolling on people that you know, someone like me who's like actually have done a couple of powerlifting meets. Like I've actually done a few national level meets at the time when I first started. At one point I was ranked at least like top 10 in the nation. So it's just like, it's not like I haven't competed in a powerlifting meet before. You know, I've done it way in the past. Like it's been a while, but I've still done it, you know, and I still can tell myself I'm a powerlifter. It's just like, you know, I just haven't recently competed. And I think I still have a deadlift state record from my home state, which is crazy too. Like no one has yet to beat that. It's 672 pounds. So I think 305 kg. I think that's around there.
I'm gonna do the conversion.
Okay.
672.
So I wasn't sure if you're 672. Yeah.
Yeah, 305 and a half. Yeah,
Oh,
305.
okay. Yeah. So no one has yet to pull that from even a junior or open level category, which is pretty cool that it's still there. Um, but yeah. So I at the end of the day, I'm a pretty experienced lifter, like experienced powerlifter. Just like my shift of focus of what I kind of produce on a content level base and just my life priorities and just like what I want to has been different, Um,
Mm-hmm. Life
but
takes
yeah,
you on many paths, man.
I think yeah, exactly. So and also, um, I don't want to say that like so as a powerlifter, like again, like I am also an influencer as well. So a lot of the stuff that I do on Instagram can be provocative, right? I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, but my signature stairs that I like to do when I pull or complete a lift, it has become some sort of a trend that people actually often do themselves and tag me to imitate me as well, which is pretty funny and pretty cool, honestly, at the time. But it's something that I've been doing for a while, right? It's something that I just kind of do. It's just like it's a nod of approval for myself to be like, yeah, I got this lift with ease. This is my shit. Like this is my lift, right? It's mainly deadlifts is typically why I do these stairs, but it's just more like for myself to feel good that I actually accomplished the lift and do something. And for me, it's not like and for all the listeners here that listen to Alex's podcast, it's like, and the people that follow like me, it's just like, or know of me, right? It's not even meant to hate on you guys or like, or give you the attitude towards the people that are watching the video. It's just more of me um, giving myself the way I want to like end off in the know when I like complete a lift, right?
Yeah, man. It's
it's just
confidence,
a
man.
nod of approval for myself. It's confidence, exactly. It's confidence. That's exactly what it is.
That's it, man.
And I feel like a lot of people or some of the people, that's exactly. That's why I feel like some of the people out there when they comment, it's like they think that that's just like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing some cringy stuff like that? I'm just, bro, it's it's not cringy. It's just like I've been doing it for so long now. It's just a habit for me to just it's just a confidence thing for me. It's just like
Yep.
that's all it is. I'm not trying to be an asshole, and because I lift this X amount of weights to show off to you guys or show off to the public that this is a lot of weight. It's for some people it can, for some people it's not. But
Mm-hmm.
like it's for me, it's just a confidence like thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it is.
You can always
And
tell,
that's
like, you can always tell the nature
yeah,
of a lifter, right? Or anyone in the gym, the difference
yeah,
between how they act before or during a lift and then how they act just when they're resting. Because if they're like strolling around the
yeah,
gym, they're like, putting on this fucking facade, like they're carrying carpets between, like flexing their fucking lats. Like when they're like
yeah,
5 minutes before they're going to lift the bar, you're like, okay, you're a dickhead. But if it's like, no, they're
yeah,
just getting
exactly.
themselves in a zone to pick the bar up or just
Yeah,
after or just before or whatever it is, I'm like, no, man, like that weight for this individual is fucking heavy. They need to go to
yeah,
a place mentally to prepare themselves to have a fist fight with it. That's all it is.
yeah. And at the end of the day, right, Alex, it's like if you were to look at me, you might even think that I'm a little bit intimidating just because of my presence, right? Just me pulling like heavy weight and just and having someone record me like do my lifts and all that stuff. And I'm like, bro, this guy's a dickhead. But if you approach me, I'm the nicest guy you ever meet. And of course, like
100%.
would you say right now, like our presence alone is like I'm 100% a nice guy. It's just the way I just lift. I like to lift with confidence. I like to lift a little bit more aggressive. I like to lift with emotion. That
Exactly the
sort of
same.
helps me to get a little bit more stronger, motivated. Exactly. So like, and that works for me, right? But if you talk to me as just a person, I'm 100%, 110% a nice guy, and I like
Mm-hmm.
making conversations with you as well. Like. And people do approach me. It's like, hey, you're the Korean Hulk on Instagram, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, bro, I seen your content, bro. Like, you're amazing. It's like, yeah, I appreciate it. So I even have a conversation, decent, like 10, 15-minute conversation with the dude, like, I'm talking to him. And sometimes I just like watch him live too and just like help support him as well and all that stuff. So it's just like the way I guess the people look at me on social media is that they think I'm a dickhead because the way I like post videos and like try to get a reaction out of people or obviously try to get the cloud or try to stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel like. But I want to say is just like that's just that who I am. Like obviously it's just like it's all shits and giggles, right? It's like obviously
Yeah,
I'm
man.
posting to motivate the people, inspire people, and just live with confidence, live with sass, right? Just all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like if you're a good person, if you're a really like chill person, then that's fine. It's all it is. It's like no, but if you're a dickhead if you're a dickhead in social media and you're a dickhead in person, like of course that just solidifies you that you are a dickhead, you know. But
Yeah.
like I at the end of the day, I do it for fun. I just do it just to have confidence in myself. That's another reason why I post as well, and also just because people often do enjoy watching my content, watching me lift too, and they get motivated too, and I'm happy, I'm honored that they do as well, you know.
Yeah,
So
man.
I just continue to do what I do.
It shows
Yeah.
a bit of passion, man. You know what I mean? It shows a little bit of emotion. It shows a little bit of passion, and it shows that you're allowed to use that
Yep.
in a constructive manner, right? Rather than
Yep.
bottling it up and just being like this really timid person that kind of does their thing, kind of doesn't. It's like, no,
Yeah.
fucking just go in there, do some shit. So then when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
come out, you're going to be a nicer person than everyone else, right? Rather than bottling it up and then
Yeah. Yeah.
exploding in 5 years' time. And like, I just want
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
I want to add on from like people, if they say, for example, they've seen like a fucking reel or some sort of video or whatever, I'm like, they've taken it
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
out of context. They've seen you, right, for
Yeah. Yeah.
like 8 seconds, and they've completely
Yeah.
dictated your entire personality when you're not talking, right? When you're not doing anything
Yeah.
for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, how's that fair?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Also, I think that I rarely talk on my videos or on Instagram either, right?
Mm.
So that's another maybe reason why people kind of perceive me as like this really like intimidating like dickhead like dude, just trying to like post for show and all that stuff. But I think that's just me, just like me often just being quiet and not really talking
Yeah,
a
man.
lot. That's fine. I really need to talk. I mean, typically with a fitness IG content, typically you just post videos and you don't really say anything, right? You just kind of post videos, do the movement, do the work, and that's pretty much done instead. There's nothing else to it. Occasionally I would some of the companies that like apparel companies that I had that I'm sponsored by, typically I'll throw a few videos and stories out there and have my voice just like talking about, hey, here's this, here's that, use my code, blah blah blah. But yeah, and in case typically I also do like Q&As as well, but those are often said and done through text or through just writing it out. But yeah, maybe that's just probably me just needing to just kind of just talk a bit more. I used to have a YouTube channel at the time as well. Well, I still do. I only have a video out there. It's just a video of a bunch of my clients doing their first powerlifting meet, and I had a videographer to record some of the content there as well. So it's just pretty much the Korean Hulk on YouTube. Um, and so you guys can also like just hear my hear my voice and just see how I am as a person as well, because you guys get to see how I coach my lifters as well during the meet, and see that the emotion and passion I put when when my athletes do well. It's like almost so far where I scream to the top of my lungs, where the next day it's just like I get a sore throat. But yeah, so it's just like yeah, so at the end of the day, it's just like it's about who you are as a person. It's like what if you meet this person face to face and they're just a dickhead, then that's disrespectful. And that's just not me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that
Again,
shows
I
heart,
just
man.
do it for fun, and I do it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's just that's one of the things that I would like to say is just like as a person, I'm just you meet me as a person, I'm 110% nice guy. I would have a nice, decent conversation with you. And if you ever like bothered me, like while I'm training, like if I'm like just resting and chilling and you guys like said something, I'm always fine with that too. I feel like when they see a influencer, right, like quote unquote, in public or in the gym when they're lifting, it's just like they're afraid to approach that person because of the presence that they present and who they are to you. But like I always just tell people, and if it's someone else like that, it's just like that's also like pretty big. It's just like, just go up to him and just say, what's up? Like, hey, like, I look up to you. I like admire you. Right. It's like, what do you got to lose? Just like, you're trying to meet the person face to face, like someone that you look up to, just like say hi, maybe take a picture. It's like, it's 9 times out of 10, they'll be willing to have a decent conversation with you and they'll appreciate it.
That's
So
it, man.
yeah, that's all it is really. And Alex, Russell, right? Russell.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, he's also a really nice guy as well. Like, he's also, obviously, he has some of the intimidation vibes as well when he's lifting and training and stuff. But he's obviously, like, when he's resting and chilling, like, he's obviously like, he's a really nice, cool guy, a really chill guy. You just like come up to him, talk to him, like he'll talk to you, sit down, like literally. So it's just what I'm trying to say is like, because Russell has a bigger social media presence. Obviously, a lot of people look up to him. He's number one in the world in terms of powerlifting, in his weight class, respectively. So like, it's like, I just tell people, just go up to him. If you want to take a picture, just do it. Because if you're just visiting town, right, for a bit, and you see him and you're like, oh, like, should I go up to him or not? Yeah, just go up to him. It's just like, he's chill. It's just like, yeah, he's not a bad guy or anything. So yeah. So
see,
I
that's
just
exactly
say that too, just like, yeah.
That's exactly what the fitness industry
You're
and
just a
training is all
person. Just
about.
like, I don't want people to. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so if you're also like, if you're an influencer online too, just like, I don't want people to see me as an influencer. I just want people to see me as a person. Like, I just want people to come up to me. It's like, hey, like, what's up? Yeah, I don't. My numbers on followers, like, it doesn't, like, I don't care about that, to be honest. I just want people to know who they are that support me and follow me and, like, follow my content and just want to have a decent conversation. It's like, it's fine, I don't care, So yeah, that's just one thing that I want to just call it as well, like, influencer don't mean crap. I rather have people that follow me and just see me as a person, as a friend, just, whether it's through online or in person, so
For sure,
yeah.
man. Like, it's another way of like improving like connectivity, right, between fucking human beings just around the world, and we're sharing this love for the barbell, right? And it doesn't prejudice over anyone. It's going to weigh the same, and whether you like PR for the first time because you got underneath an empty bar, squat to parallel and stood it up, everyone's going to be like, man, that was fucking rad. Well done. That was, that was awesome. Give me a fist bump type shit. Even, and next to him, there's you pulling 305. And you're like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And everyone's just going to be around, like, giving everyone the same level of support. And from the outside looking
and they
in,
typically reach. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they tell me, like, like, hey, that, like, how much weight is that? Like, it's like, that's some good shit, like, right there, just like, yeah. So it's just like, I'm not even there. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. It's like, it means a lot when you guys like come up and just tell me that stuff. So like, yeah, that's the type of level of support that I like too. In the gym, and I feel like that's what you want in the gym too. Just people just kind of admiring you and respecting you and just like kind of supporting you. With like, hey, good job. Like that was some good stuff. So like, yeah, that's too. I think also that more people nowadays, I feel like in the gym, I feel like we need that level of support. We can't, sometimes there'll be like people that just like stare at you and just kind of give you some of that like bad vibe. Just like, like, this dude is just like lifting, like he's grunting, all that stuff. Like no, like that's just how we are, how we want to live emotionally. And then, it's just, yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like in gyms too, it depends where you're at, right? What kind of gym you go to and all that stuff too. But yeah, I think it's always nice when you have like people around you that support you, and whether you know them or not, they just randomly come up to you and be like, hey, that's a good lift, man. Like, it's pretty strong, all that stuff. It's like, yeah, that appreciates, I appreciate that too, so.
A gym membership is a cheaper form of therapy, right?
Yeah. yeah. I lift, so I go to a gym that's it's called Lifetime, believe it or not. It's I don't know if you guys have
Lifetime Fitness.
They're an international company. Yes.
Yeah, I know Lifetime Fitness.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. So that place is not just a gym, but it's more like they treat it like a resort style, like, so they have everything from terms of the gym itself, and then they have like a pool, they have like massage place, and then they have like haircuts and like cafeteria, like cafes and stuff like that. So but yeah, so right now I'm currently I'm actually currently training in that gym right now. And I will say the gym that I go to, the staff is wonderful. Like they know everything. It comes in terms of understanding like fitness and understanding that there are powerlifters and lifting and stuff like that. Because some gyms, they don't like when people deadlift, right? Because it's too much noise, or they squat. If it's too much weight, it's a little intimidating or stuff. But no, they are really cool. They're pretty like, they had no problems at all. So it's nice that those staff members are really chill with just me like deadlifting and recording and all that stuff too. But yeah, also just I used to train like at a powerlifting gym too, but then with powerlifting gyms, sometimes it's often a garage gym. So when it gets hot, when it gets humid, it's really unbearable to train in those type of conditions. At the time in summer, I was training in 105-degree heat. That's really hot, especially with humidity involved, and also with flies and mosquitoes everywhere around. I personally I had to take salt packets, rehydration pills before I train, because oftentimes or not, like I feel like I'm about to pass out. So that's why I was like, you know what, I don't mind spending a little bit more for some nice air conditioning, just having to be clean. And so I that's why Lifetime was fine for me. And also just, it was close anyway. So it was more convenient. But yeah, so that's why. So I've trained in commercial gyms, I've trained in powerlifting gyms, I've trained all around. But I think powerlifting gyms are nice in the sense that it's well, one, it's like it's good if you're competing regularly, and you need to use that specific equipments, right? The calibrated plates, the squat racks, the racks in general, and all that stuff. So that's why it's always good if you're competing regularly to be in those gyms, right? But someone like me who hasn't actually competed in a while and actually just want to be an overall, just just train for strength, do bodybuilding, and just be fit, and just live that life. So I think overall it's always fine just lifting in commercial gyms, right? I just want to be efficient. Sometimes with powerlifting gyms, a lot of people hog the squat racks, right? They take too long. Like sometimes people will just put their belt on there, but like, this is mine, don't take it. I'm gonna stretch for like 45 minutes. I'm going to use it, so stuff like that, right? So obviously with powerlifting gyms, they don't have enough equipment to satisfy everyone, right? So that's another thing too. It's just like, and it's also a little bit more expensive, right? It's more expensive, and then just the amount of racks available is not much, to a point where, because if you go to a powerlifting gym, everyone is going to squat, right? Everyone's going to use a rack, right? That's the problem. Whereas commercial gyms, they barely use racks, right? No one really squats. If they do, they only take 5 minutes, right? So you don't need to wait as long, right? So that also means you can finish earlier. You can be more efficient. You don't need to stay at a gym for 4 hours, right? You can cut that down to 2. So stuff like that I always consider as well. It's just like, there's not a lot of people often do squat or use the racks for what's meant to be used. And so it's just a lot more efficient.
They use them for girls, right?
But I think though, like girls, or I seen a dude that use it for like trap, or what do you call it? They'll use the safety racks, and they'll deadlift on it. So like, you're not actually deadlifting on the actual. Yes, I'm sorry, rack pulls. Yeah, but the guys would put like 8-9 plates on that, like 900 pounds, and just use it as a momentum by banging on the safeties, and then pretty much damaging the safeties too. I'm just like, and they're making so much loud noise. I'm just like, bruh, like there's no need for that, It's just like they're bending, they're gonna be breaking the bar, they're gonna ruin the bar and all that stuff. So it's just like, why bother, But yeah, so. But yeah, that's exactly. So with commercial gyms, you'll often also see people that just, you kind of scratch your head like, what are they doing? Like, type of thing too.
Oh, dude,
Right.
yeah.
It's just like people of all ages, right? People of all ages train in commercial gyms, right? Some people know what they're doing and some people don't. It's like you're gonna have a lot of different types of people around you.
Mhm.
Whereas in powerlifting, there's only one type of people, one group of people, which is powerlifting, right? Powerlifters. So typically powerlifters, they typically hype you up, they support you and stuff. But also like some people don't like that. Like some powerlifters, when they train in a powerlifting gym, they don't want any sort of hype. They don't want people screaming at you. They're like, go pull up. Like some people just rather just train for themselves and not have that level of like support. That's nice and all, but like sometimes it's too much, right? So that's why with powerlifting gyms too, it's just like it can get a little clicky, very clicky to the point where people have their own little circle group of friends too. And it's just the vibes are weird, especially if you're not a gym goer or if you're not that powerlifting member, like gym member, So that's another reason why commercial gyms is nice too, because it's like if you want to get shit done without having hella people around you, like you don't know anyone, you just put your earbuds on, focus on yourself, and just train. And it's like you can get done within like hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what you do, right? And just you're done. I don't want to stay as. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
No, I was just going to say it's good to change up the environment sometimes. It keeps it fresh and the motivation
Yes,
kind of
yeah, definitely.
improves and gets a little bit
Definitely.
higher. And then when you want to get a little bit more specialized, you can jump back into that whole powerlifting gym and you feel it a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. Like I go to Corrupted Strength, which is Russell's gym.
Oh, yeah.
A couple times, right? Sometimes during the weekend, I'll stop by a bit and stuff like that. And obviously, the vibes are completely different, right? It's loud music, right? It's a lot hardcore music, and it's a lot more people pretty much lifting the same amount of weights as you, and then just a lot of screaming involved, a lot more like the level of things. But sometimes it's like, yeah, exactly. Like I agree with you, Alex. It's like it's always good to like switch it up. Sometimes I'll go to commercial gyms, and that's where I usually go more or less, and then sometimes I'll go to like power gyms where you just want like that energy, right? A lot more people, like people that doing the same stuff that you're doing, stuff like that. So it's also good too. Like I like to. Typically, my main gym is going to be like a commercial gyms, and then I'll visit power gyms every so often just to just to change up the vibes. But yeah,
and sometimes you just want to go in.
They're goods and bads.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you just want to go in and do some like accessory stuff and kind of put your headphones in and come out within 45 an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you go to one of your gyms, like you're like, oh, okay, I know this person, I'm going to talk to him. I know this person, I'm going to talk to him. And be like, whoa, why are you not lifting heavy? You're like, oh, bro, come on, like it's not today.
Yep.
Next thing
that's how it is. In college at the time, I was lifting at least like 4 or 5 hours in the gym. Like it was like literally because you knew everyone there, right? All your friends. And it was just like, classes were probably towards the nighttime, or maybe sometimes you didn't have classes that on that particular day. So you just spend the whole day at the gym. And then like, it's just like after that, you just like the day's over, you're probably eating and you're just like sleeping through the night. So it's just like, it's not efficient, right? It's just like, but as when I first started powerlifting, I loved it so much to a point I was so addicted to it. It's I would stay there at least 4 or 5 hours a day, and and sometimes I would actually want to stay so long. It's just like I would squat, right, and then I would tell myself like squat with bad, and then I would bench, and then I would go right back to squat again to restart again and stuff like that. So stuff like that, I'm just like telling myself like, why did I do this? Like, why can't I just be more efficient? Like, but now I try to just get it done as efficient as possible, and then just like leave. I just I know people can. That's why powerlifting is just so taxing, because it just takes so much more time and effort. Like you have to at least stay in the gym for at least 3 hours, 3.5 hours to get your work done, right? Because with powerlifting, like there's just more longer rest periods. And then accessories, typically it's another thing where like us powerlifters, right? Sometimes we have to go ham, like as hard as hell on accessories, or we get so lazy, we just do the most minimal weight as we can. And we'll just look at our phones and just kind of look through social media as we're doing accessories, stuff like that. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Like that's something that happens. It's occasionally we'll do so much. We'll focus on our efforts on the actual compound movements, but then the accessories is just gonna be like very minimal effort.
It's like, oh, what accessories are you doing? Oh, I'm gonna do some skull crushes. Why? It's like because I get to lie down.
Yeah. And it's just funny because obviously some clients that I have where like I'm in the same gym as them, and like I look at them and they're not actually like they're doing like leg press, or like they're doing like curls, but then like or being on like the shoulder press like on the bench, and they just look at their phones as they're like working out. I'm just like, and I call them out like, bro, why are you on your phone? Just come on, let's get this done. Like
you should ring them.
So it's just
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so
coaches ring them. What do you want?
Yeah.
Stop
exactly.
bullshitting around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I it's just like one of those things. Like, so it's also good in the sense that like with accessories too, just like if you could just like if you do powerlifting, right, and you just want to take a break, sometimes just doing a commitment on like one like bodybuilding or accessory day is always nice because it gives you a nice little change of pace of doing something else, and honestly it gives you more of that like euphoric it gives you more of like a nice like different change of like vibes. It makes you feel a little bit more energized because it's like it's something that you're not doing as often, right? And you're just focusing more emphasis on like your accessories rather than doing your compound movements, right? So I also dedicate a day where I don't do any sort of like compound lifts, and I just do accessory work, like working on your like shoulders or arms or stuff like that. Typically I'll do that. And then also Lifetime has a sauna, which is nice.
Ooh,
so I usually take advantage of using the they have a dry sauna, and they also have a steam sauna. I like to kind of use both too. It's nice. So that too is also in itself is pretty relaxing as well. So things like that, I like to switch it up, because at the end of the day, compound movements are so taxing. You just can't be doing it all the time. Like you have to switch it up. So
yes, in the form of like accessories and shit. Like I'm a weightlifter, right? So like this, if I don't keep accessories in, like my elbows start hurting, my back hurts, my knees hurt. It's just like I have to do it just to keep myself like in one piece.
Yeah.
And there's definitely days where it's like, you know what, I might just move the bar, and then I'm just gonna spend my entire fucking day just doing accessories. Or I might have not even touched a barbell. I'm like, I'm not, the only accessory I'm gonna do is a back squat. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna snatch a clean and jerk.
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely so important.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah. I to answer your question, like I also right now I've been lifting about 6 days a week. I only take about one rest day. And 6 days a week for me is okay for me because, well, one, I just like being in the gym because it relieves stress. So I feel like just going to the gym, at least doing something, to get your exercise and all that stuff is always nice. So typically I only take one day of rest, and sometimes maybe two, but it's typically 6 days is fine with me. Like I said, it's not all just powerlifting movements. There's other accessories involved, and just like one day just doing like sauna or something like that too. But I've always trained like that ever since I started like lifting. 6 days was pretty optimal for me. And I was just so used to it. So like and some powerlifters, ideally, I think that's too much, right? Or if you're doing powerlifting and other things as well, they would say it's too much. But I think it's like for me as a person, just I've been so used to training that way. It's just my body's just been acclimated into it. So, but typically I would just do 4 days a week in terms of strict powerlifting movements, and then the other rest would be like active recovery days. Really, that's how I usually do it. And I program myself. Again, I also I myself like I'm my own coach, so I program myself, do my own things. And then but yeah, so I haven't had a coach since my meet days, but but yeah, I think also that's important too. It's just like if you know your own body, if you know yourself and know the way you train too, it's just good. It's like if you can kind of program yourself. Like sometimes people may not need a coach, right? Sometimes people may just just need to have a better understanding of how their body works. Like you just need to understand how your body works. Do a few little like free programs out there to see what works and what doesn't. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's just like you know your own body and know what you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because for me, I'm a I am an experienced powerlifter, so like I know what my body works and what doesn't at this point, to the point where I'm like, I don't need a coach. Like I can tell myself like I don't need one, unless it's like something where I need to be accountable, where I need to actually have someone where I can just prep me and get me accountable to do my shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like most people typically go for coaches as well, because they need someone to be accountable for their progress and for what they do, right? So that's typically how I see it as well. It's just like, no one needs to spend, over 150, $200 for a coach, unless, they need that guidance and that support and their first level lifters, like, new lifters wanting to get into powerlifting and help them, but I think the goal at the end of the day is just like, if you want to be knowledgeable in the sport and understand yourself, um and sometimes having it's like you don't need a coach sometimes, for that, sometimes you just kind of like experiment yourself and see what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
it's,
understand.
sometimes maybe you do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes what I found is like a lot of the people that will end up programming for themselves, right, will either program too
Yep.
little and just do the shit that they want to do, or they'll like fucking overload themselves and like kick 7 bells of shit out of themselves. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are you doing like
Yeah.
20 different things in one session and then planning to come in tomorrow and do heavy deadlifts? Like that's not wise, man.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one or the
Yeah.
other. If you can find that sweet spot, go for it, man. Like if that's best for you, then fucking
Yeah.
go for it. But I've seen so many people go, oh no, I'm only doing this. I was like, is that it? Or they go, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. I was like, dude, that's gonna take you all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think that when it comes to just the whole the coaching is just like, in the beginning, it's just like, if you really don't know, like there's just so much all like good stuff out there online where you can just kind of learn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So much resources out there, so many like YouTubers that are actually really knowledgeable out there, that know their stuff and be willing to give you all that free content out there to learn, right? So it's just, I think coaching is just one option of, that is one option, but then there's other things where you can also like research yourself and see what works for yourself and see. But if that doesn't work too, is then of course like a coaching is always a nice thing to have, if you have the budget for it and if you can commit the time. As a client, you want to give time to that coach. Like you want to, I think communication is important, right? So if you can put the time and commitment into like, working with the coach, sending your weekly updates to them and all that stuff, I think that's really helpful. So,
Agreed.
but yeah, so I think that's another thing that as a coach that we all have to be mindful of, is like, it's a client and coach perspective. Like the client needs to work with the coach as well as the coach needs to work with the client, right? Like there needs to be a level of one-to-one communication, in order for the whole process and the whole coaching to actually work, right? It's one of those things. It's like sometimes when the client leaves you hanging with no update for a whole month, it's like, well, if that coach actually has a lot of lifters, or maybe like, whatever, 40 or 50 lifters, and then they have to look at every single one of them. Sometimes one might get loose, but like also it's just like, I feel like some athletes or some clients, they just want like a structured programming, whether like just, and no feedback at all. Like they don't care about the feedback really. But as a coach, like we're trying to give you feedback. We're trying to like help you, and like we want to know how the program is working and how, if it's going well, if you have any concerns, any questions. So like I think I think there's always that level of gap when it comes to like online coaching, because with online coaching, it's like, you're going to expect that some clients or some people are just, they're not going to give the time to give updates to you and give progress on like how they do it. They just want to do the program. And then some other, and whereas other clients, they're so committed, they'll send you daily videos every single day. That I like that. That helps me to get some visibility in how they're progressing on that stuff. Um but yeah, I think also just coaching, I know we're like swaying into a different topic here, but I think with coaching too, it's important that in finding the right person, like the right coach. I think that some coaches out there are typically they'll just give you a cookie cutter program and just kind of do this, do that, and that's pretty much it. I think what's nice about online piloting coaching is that it's so specific. I think there's a lot more, because when I talk about online coaching can be anything. It could just be general fitness, general, like it could be bodybuilding, piloting, or whatever, right? But it's obviously some of those online coaches, the ones that are like YouTube type of level famous, they'll just give you like a cookie cutter program. They'll really just respond to you. But like people like us, as powerlifting coaches, like I think there's a lot more better communication involved, because it's such a tight community, like a small community, and then just overall there's just a lot more better relationship involved, more passion involved with the sport. But yeah, I think with powerlifting coaching it's a lot more specific. I think it's interesting because I think there was an interesting thing I saw on Instagram where like how much, like I remember seeing this from another friend's like stories of mine, but he ended up reaching out to someone that was like much more like YouTuber famous, and reached out to like their followers to ask how much they would pay for general online fitness like coaching. I think that's what it was. And uh the amount of responses were crazy. Like, so I'm not sure, Alex, if you know your conversions for US dollars, but so US dollar, like I think some people said like anywhere from like 4 to like 600 a month, which is
Oh,
absurd. That is
mate.
crazy. Yeah. And they said no, and then I remember seeing one comment that said at least 600 a month. So when I heard at least, it means that they're telling me that they would pay above it if it was better services, right? But I'm just like, that's crazy to me, because as piloters, right? Piloting coaching is like, it's so much more specific. There's much more time and commitment involved because of how technical it can be with the movements and like the cues and all that stuff, right? But we don't charge nearly that much, right? There's no way, unless you're that crazy. Like, there's just no way. There's like typically most majority of the well-known like coaches out there, they'll probably at most maybe charge like 300 at most a month. Like, I haven't seen anyone that really pay that much at all. It's like typically it would probably be in the range of like 100 to like maybe like 180 at most, like maybe barely hitting 200. So it's just like, I think it's kind of crazy how some people, I think it's because of the general fitness community, like the general fitness coaching overall is a lot more popular than powerlifting coaching, right? But then powerlifting is much more specific, right? It's a more specialized sport, so it requires more time, more attention, right? So you would assume that people should pay more for powerlifting coaching, right?
Mm.
Because of that nature, right? But then you look at general fitness overall, because people just overall just want to get healthy, get strong, like just general fitness, like that's much more of a popular service to them, I guess. Like I get that, because when it's a popular category, right? It's just generalized fitness, just overall improving your health and all that stuff, like of course. And that type of category is going to catch a lot of people's like attention. It's not going to like deter other people. It's so broad that it
Mm-hmm.
brings a lot more of a wide range of like people,
Mm-hmm.
consumers, like people to reach out to them. Whereas powerlifting, it's like you kind of have to know the sport, right? You kind of have to know it. Like you kind of have to know the actual like powerlifting movement, the sport itself, for you to reach out and pay, right? That makes sense, right? So I get that. I get why people would pay more, because it's like when they think about just overall fitness, it's like it's that could be anything, right? It's just like so. It doesn't necessarily have to be powerlifting. You don't need to know powerlifting to understand fitness. Everyone knows what like a generalized fitness plan would look, right? So I get it, but I think that's another reason why there's a gap, right? And that's why powerlifting is so saturated in terms of coaching too. And I don't think you can make, unless you're a very, very successful coach and you have clients that would be willing to pay you a crap ton of money. I don't think it's not something that you can just be completely successful business unless you grew a community, a wide range of like word of mouth and all that stuff, and you grew a whole reputation and name out of yourself, right? So that's why for me it's a side business, because it's not something that can be a full time for me. It's but it's fine for me because I like developing relationships. I like making progress with my clients, and and overall, it's at the end of the day, it's like whatever makes them happy, as long as they're happy with the price, they're happy with the services I provide. It's like that's fine to me. But yeah, I think there's a gap for sure. It was a crazy. It was an interesting result that I saw. It's like, wow, people would be willing to pay that much money,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, but I mean, if you start from ground zero and you have zero knowledge or know anything, you just like, hey, you tell me exactly what I need to do, and I can snap my fingers and everything's gonna be fine. People usually part with their dollars real quickly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Alex. So I have a hard stop at 2. Actually, I told you about this, but So I really appreciate you talking to me, and I honestly I don't feel free if you want to have a part 2 conversation with me. You're a really easygoing like person to talk to, and just really chill overall. But yeah, feel free to ever just reach out to me. I think this is a really good conversation, and I'm really excited to hear it in your podcast. But
Thank you,
again, I also want to appreciate you. I want to appreciate you, and then also just appreciate your listeners, and also just thank you for doing this this type of level of podcast, because it's good to get insights from a lot of people, whatever their sport background is. It's nice, it's good. Sometimes it's just enjoying a nice little conversation like this it's just nice to get perspectives of other people, wherever they are, and what they're doing. So yeah, thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate your time a lot, and I'll make it over to the States sometime, and we'll throw it down. I will not be deadlifting
that's cool,
305. I'll probably get underneath it and then put it above my head, right? But yeah,
yes, sir.
I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, man. I love to watch that. Hey. Of course. Yep. All right. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, man. Take it easy. Have a good day.
See you, man.